Good morning, ma'am. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please.
Tiffany Dickerson, 552063.
And good morning, Ms. Dickerson. Let me acknowledge the folks you have there with you. Let's see. You have your mother, Ms. Gwen, is it right?
Yes, ma'am.
Gregory Jones, DeJohn Nixon, Jessica Dickerson, Alicia Williams, Brandon Dickerson, Lisa Johnson, Jeremiah Jones, Talisha Dickerson, and Rose Jones. Are any of your guests who are there with you going to speak on your behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
Who would that be? There's two. I have room for two.
Jessica Dickerson and Lisa Johnson.
Okay. Here with us in Baton Rouge, we have Brenda Victor. She must be on Zoom. Cynthia DeQueer. Anita Mosley.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Shalonda. Demetrius, I can't say it. More.
Yes.
Okay. So did I miss somebody who's here?
I'm here, Chris is here.
Get on the list. And I have Brenda Victor will be speaking.
No, she just talked to her and she wants to speak.
But she's not, she's okay. So Ms. Victor is on Zoom.
Yes.
So Jeremy, will you be speaking?
No.
All right, so let me just read some identifying information into the record, Ms. Dickerson, and then we'll get started with the interview process. You're here this morning seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in April 2009 in Lafourche Parish for a manslaughter conviction. You received a 25-year sentence. Ms. Dickerson, is that information right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your case this morning has been assigned to Mr. Roche. Would you answer any questions he may have, please?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Ms. Dickerson. How are you?
Nervous.
Nervous? Okay, sit back, take a deep breath, relax, and we're gonna have a conversation. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, fellow board members, this morning we have Tiffany Dickerson DOC number 552063. Ms. Dickerson is here this morning seeking a recommendation for a commutation of sentence or an update in her parole eligibility date. Ms. Dickerson already has a good time release date of October 23rd, 2027. She's seeking this commutation for a 209 conviction for manslaughter in the stabbing death of a longtime companion who she actually went to high school with. And after high school, they moved in together, but had a very long history of domestic abuse issues. On October 16, 2007, she was arrested in the stabbing of Ryan. The original arrest warrant was issued for manslaughter, but after the detectives interviewed the offender and witnesses, collected all evidence from the crime scene and discovered a long history of domestic violence, they decided to change the warrant to second-degree murder. On April 20th, 2009, 18 months after the arrest, Ms. Dickerson entered a plea of guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to 25 years at hard labor at DOC. Ms. Dickerson is currently 50 years old, and she was 34 years old at the time of the stabbing. He's been incarcerated for the last 15 and a half years. Ms. Dickerson, how long after graduation from high school did you move in with Brian?
It was, I believe it was a few years after.
And you made a statement that you were a domestic violence situation. Both you and Brian were aggressive at different times, but you said you loved each other, so you stayed together. Is that correct?
Were you guys both physically abusive towards one another? That's what he's asking.
Yes, sir.
There were incidents where you were accused of hitting Brian with a closed fist and in a head area. And in one case, you were at a nightclub and he made advances or looked at another female and you used that high heel shoe to hit him in the head. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So tell me exactly what happened on the night that the stabbing occurred. You gave different versions at different times to the police in different interviews. So we need to know not your version that was given at different times. We need to know exactly what happened that night that caused the death of Brian.
It was the morning of Brian and I were arguing. We were having a disagreement and it led to an argument, a bad argument. And eventually it escalated to something physical and we were fighting. And in the heat of the moment, I reacted and I grabbed a knife and I stabbed and killed someone that I love.
The police report said that you were in the kitchen and you were preparing a meal and you were chopping seasoning. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what this agreement came in at.
Okay. And what was the disagreement?
It was the cooking and it was the remote and it was the TV. It was everything.
So actually you were watching something on TV and he took the remote control and changed the channel. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Why were you so angry?
He was fussing and cursing me out.
And I'm gonna leave this area for you. I just have one question. Why didn't you remove yourself from that situation?
Because I love him.
Okay, let's continue. Opposition in this case comes from the DA's office in LaFourche Parish, the sheriff's office in the first parish, and multiple members of the victim's family, his daughter, his sister. His mother said in the statement, she feels like he's willing to forgive. God would forgive in this situation, but she did not mention whether she was opposed or unopposed. So the victim's mother is neutral and said that God would forgive, and she felt that she should forgive also. I thought you need to know that. Ms. Dickerson has a low risk assessment. She has a moderate needs assessment, which is a little concerning to me. She's housed in minimum custody. She has a GED. She has a very good institutional record. As a matter of fact, in 15 years of incarceration, he has only one lower court write-up. He has no serious write-ups in 15 and a half years of incarceration. Let me switch to your most current institutional record. As I said before, Ms. Dickerson is 50 years old. She's in minimum custody, low risk assessment. She has a GED. She has an associate degree. She has a bachelor's degree in 2020, a certification in Serve Safe in 2020, reentry in 2021, programs, and I'm going to have you to go over your program, but let's start with the True Freedom program that you completed in 2011. So tell us about your other programs.
I've done Courage for Life, trauma healing, spiritual leadership, prison fellowship, School of Righteousness, and I'm currently in a class called Victim Impact. Been in it for 7 weeks. And out of all the classes I've taken, that class there means the most to me, because I'm learning how to take the focus off myself and focus on the people that I've harmed and the impact that what I did, how it makes them feel.
So let me fill in a little bit more for you. She's completed Living in Balance, parts 1 and 2, Celebrate Recovery. She's written accountability, victim accountability letter, Prison Fellowship Academy. Tell me about the Prison Fellowship Academy.
It's a class that teaches us about the Word of God, forgiveness, it's all about God.
And you've also completed 100 hours pre-release. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And you belong to the Culinary Arts Club. Tell me about that. And are you a cook at the facility?
No, sir. That club teaches us about being active in the food and beverage industry, along with other club members. Things that you learn in there you can take outside of prison.
Any other organizations that you belong to?
No other organization.
Okay, so I see that you have a transition plan with your sister Jessica Dickens in Sorrento, Louisiana. And you'll be living with your sister and your nephews. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. My sister and her 3 kids.
Okay, and I see you'll be working with a catering company, Volume Cooking. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I see where good institutional record, the work supervisor, security supervisor, and the classification officer says we have no issues with Ms. Dickerson. So you've done very well as far as your disciplinary record while incarceration. I see where you've had multiple substance abuse education programs, Living in Balance, Celebrate Recovery. Have you ever had a problem with illegal drugs or abused alcohol?
Yes, I did. Back then, yes, I did.
And at what age did you start using drugs?
I think I was 18.
So you had graduated from high school?
After high school, yes, sir.
Okay, and what was your drug of choice?
Marijuana.
Anything stronger?
I had tried cocaine.
How long did you use cocaine?
It wasn't long.
Do you feel as though that Celebrate Recovery and Living in Balance sufficiently gave you enough ammunition to maintain your sobriety if and when you're released?
Yes, sir.
So what is your ongoing sobriety plan?
Get into support groups.
So tell me about that. Tell me what your plan is.
If released, I'm going to find a support group with other individuals that went through what I've been through, surrounding myself around people that are positive and encouraging.
Are you drug addict today?
No, sir.
Are you a drug addict today?
No, sir.
You think you're completely cured?
You still know you have to address the concern. Like, if you're always an addict, or do you think you're completely free of it?
Yes, I'm completely free of it, sir.
But you need help after.
But after I get out, I still want to be able to go to a support group.
Let me give you some important advice. You must recognize that you'll be a drug addict the rest of your life. And you must treat it as a disease, and you must be vigilant each and every day. You will be attending AA and NA meetings for the rest of your life. You need to get a good sponsor. So when you get the urge, a stressful situation comes up, you have somebody to talk to.
Yes, sir.
You'll never be cured. It is an ongoing situation that you will have for the rest of your life. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir, I do.
So when somebody asks you whether you're a drug addict, you say yes. You are a recovering drug addict. There's a difference. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Warden Thomas, do you have any comments, concerns, remarks, observations?
Yes, sir. Good morning. I know Miss Dickerson is quite nervous this morning, but she has done quite a lot of notable things here. You had mentioned the Serve Safe, her bachelor's degree, which is quite an accomplishment, NCCER certifications. Her one Schedule A write-up was actually for a late library book. So we've not had any disciplinary with her whatsoever. She never shies away from work. Actually, after the prison had flooded in 16 and we had the ladies still housed at Hunt, she took care of the groundskeeping over there. I think it was only 4 on the crew. It was not many. Never complained about a day's of work. Miss Dickerson and I actually spoke last week at length, and her and I talked about all the things she's done here, and I think she's really done a tremendous job and taken advantage of everything that we have to offer.
Thank you, Warden Thomas.
Thank you.
I've heard about the crew that stayed behind in 2016, and I have a lot of admiration for that crew because it was not an easy task.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna leave you with one thing. You might be in trouble. You had a late library book, and you're talking to a person that was a librarian for 35 years.
We were just happy she was using the library. It was a good book. Maybe she wanted to read it twice.
Thank you, Ms. Dickerson. I appreciate the conversation and I appreciate the honesty, okay?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, I do have a recommendation in this case, and I will share it with my fellow board members at the conclusion of this interview.
May I ask just a couple questions? Good morning, Ms. Dickerson. How are you? Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I can tell you're having some issues with the volume on your side. Let me ask you this. I see that you completed the trauma healing program. You completed a lot of programs. You know, domestic relationships can be very difficult. I mean, you and the deceased in this case had a lot of issues in that area. And it seems as if you've had a lot of anger yourself. So are you still a young woman? And there'll probably be other relationships in your future. What have you learned over the last 15 and a half years from the programs that you've taken that would help you in your personal relationships so that you avoid the same kind of issues that you had with the victim? What do you need to change in the relationship in order to make it a healthy relationship? What do you think you would need to change from your side of the equation?
First, not to react so quickly, to have time to think before responding. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not the same person I was before. In each class that I've taken to help, I took very seriously. And I grew from what I used to be to who I am now. And my thing was always reacting so negative instead of just think and make better choices.
Well, do you understand that not every relationship is a healthy relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you learned what a healthy relationship should look like?
Yes, ma'am.
What should it look like?
Understanding, love, communication.
You know, sometimes in relationships, you want to change the other person. But the only person you can really change is yourself. And if that other person doesn't fit the mold that you need that person to be, maybe that's not the person that you should be with. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
that's all I have, Mrs. Renats.
Thank you. Yeah, I mentioned you had two folks that could speak on your behalf, when actually it's three. So be thinking about that. I'm gonna call on your sister Jessica first to say whatever she'd like us to know. And then you can tell me who the third person will be.
Yes, ma'am.
Jessica,
Good morning.
go ahead.
My name is Jessica Dickerson. I'm one of Tiffany's siblings, and I would like to say that there's no amount of time that can ever change or justify what took place. Knowing my sister then and now, I can honestly say that I see that Tiffany has learned how to take accountability. And in doing so, there were some things that she discovered about herself that she was blind to. Within the 15 years, my sister has progressed, and she has learned that it is okay not to be okay, and that a simple conversation can go a long way. Behind these walls, you guys have given her the tools that she needs to be able to communicate effectively, to be able to voice her opinion and understand that it is her opinion and it is okay if someone else's opinion is different, and that you cannot approach everybody the same way. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. The years that she has been incarcerated, she has exemplified, and she, even though everything takes time, nothing is ever easy. I believe in my heart that she has exemplified that she's willing to do the work and that she's going to continue to do the work with the support of her family. I have been willing and I am willing to open up my home and my business to her, because she got to live with what she did every day of her life. She can't take it back. Is she sorry? I know in my heart that she is. And had someone given her the tools that she needed, not making any excuses, but if she would have had enough support to deal with her own battles, this would not have happened. I know that in my heart. You know, she's going to be with me, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. If I got to go to a meeting with her, I will. My opinion would still be the same if this was not my sister. But I know what she's capable of and the Tiffany that she has become. It took a life to save a life. And in my heart, there's no amount of words that can say how I feel about what happened. But this has definitely saved her life. This has allowed her to come many obstacles that she was facing. And she's given a second chance to get it right. And I know she's going to get it right.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Well said. All right, Lisa Johnson, please.
Good morning. I'm speaking on behalf of Tiffany. We are family. And as her sister said, she has had a lot of obstacles in her life. I was close to Tiffany before she did what she did, and I remain her friend now and her cousin. And throughout the visits that I've had with Tiffany, she always speaks about what she did and she wished she could take it back, but she can't. She always talked about the remorse that she feels for Brian's family. And I feel like on this side, we both families have lost something. That family lost their son, their brother, their dad, and he can't come back. We still have a chance to touch and feel Tiffany. So, but I try to put myself in their place, and which I can't because I've never lost someone to that magnitude. But I do know that Tiffany is sorry. And if she could reach out to everyone in the family, she could, but she knows that she cannot. And being incarcerated with Tiffany, I also agree that she's not the same person that she was before incarceration. She has changed a great deal. She has learned how to heal, how to interact with a lot of women being incarcerated. And she explained to us that when you're incarcerated, when you in a place where there's a lot of women, it's hard to be in a place with a lot of women at the same time. She knows how to turn away from trouble and how to not start trouble. And the programs, she did talk about programs as well that she needs to get into after being incarcerated, such as, drugs, and she wants to give back. She wants to talk to drug addicted individuals to tell her story. Domestic abuse victims, she wants to talk to them and tell her story. And she feels like she has a lot to give to society and to give back. She wants to give back. And she prayed, and her family has prayed. And we just thank you for this opportunity to speak on her behalf. And I do in my heart believe that she has changed and she is remorseful, and she knows that she can't change what has happened. But
Yes,
I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Welcome.
Tiffany, somebody else? Do you have somebody else you'd like to speak?
Yes. Gregory Jones.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Gregory Jones. I'm the uncle of Tiffany Dickerson. I'm going to speak on her behalf, not as her being my niece, but on behalf of her being a person. Within the 15 and a half years that she has been incorporated, I discovered that she has the attitude now of being more conscious, more remorse, of having feelings for other people. On many occasions we talked, many occasions she was down, and I always encouraged her to keep her head up. I encouraged her while she was incarcerated that every program that they offer her, that she needed to take it. Because of her achievement, it goes a long ways in life. I got her to understand that while she was incarcerated, to keep her circle small. Do not allow everyone to come in her circle, because if you allow everyone to come in within her circle, that brings on trouble. Everyone does not want to see you move to the next level. And I just think that within these 15 and a half years, she have grown a lot. She have learned to love. She have learned to appreciate. She have learned to understand about other folks, their situations and circumstances. She have learned not to react to different situations because she know that it's not hers. It's nothing that she can do with it. I just think that she have come and grown a long ways. And I appreciate this opportunity to speak on her behalf.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we'll hear from the opposition. We do have some folks representing the victim and the DA's office. Could we hear from Ms. Suma Edmonds first?
Good morning.
Morning.
October 16th, 2007, 15 years ago, 5,682 days have passed, and that date still lingers fresh in my memory. The tragedy that happened, it's tainted and severed my family's heart. It left a stain. We bear a hole that time can never heal. The void is filled with trauma, grief, and pain. Pain that cuts so deep. Today, we relive that pain. Today, I show up for my father, Brian Ozma, a victim of an egregious crime, a life that ended in the hands of Tiffany Dickerson, a life deserving of more life. No amount of rehabilitation equates to the reality of losing my father and the long-standing impact this will forever have on my family. On behalf of myself and my family, we stand in opposition.
Thank you, ma'am. I knew that was difficult. And we have Miss Veronica Duncan.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. So Brian is my brother. He was just the smart and most laid back person that I knew. He was just a peaceful soul at heart. In fact, as kids to adults, we have the same character traits, which is just being somewhat introverts, right? Which makes this extremely hard because it brings up all of these emotions. Just losing my brother to this extremely senseless and violent crime it's impacted the way that I see the world, right? We just didn't get a chance to grow old together. He just meant so much to me and my family. He is missed, he's loved, and we continue to mourn his death, as you can see. He just didn't deserve this. I just think the measure of a person's actions speak to their character, right? And let's be clear, we can't measure a person's true intent with classes or even tears, right? In a controlled environment. You can't measure that. And at best, I do believe in redemption, right? But I just think that, she should be held accountable for the full term of her sentence. That's just how it works in the real world, in life. And again, it's not like she got a life sentence. She obviously have, friends and family, and she does get the opportunity to go home. We have the latter. So again, echoing what Summer said, we're in opposition of this hearing. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your testimony. And from the DA's office, please.
Unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to participate as well. I want to just kind of reiterate what the two members of the victim's family talked about. I think they used words like egregious and senseless. I want to point out, and I don't have much to say, but this was originally an indictment for second-degree murder. And at the time, we felt that the evidence strongly supported a second-degree murder. Having listened to Ms. Dickerson about what happened that night, it's still a second-degree murder. What she described was not a manslaughter. It was not a justified killing. It was a senseless and egregious killing, which is what the two previous members of the victim's family just talked about. we have shown, and I get the situation defendants in, like a lot of defendants, there are other things to consider. The state's already shown understanding and compassion towards Ms. Dickerson. We amended the charge, even though it could very well go forward as a second-degree murder, to a manslaughter. And this was a negotiated plea for 25 years, not even the maximum on a manslaughter. So we would oppose any further commutation of the sentence. And it's our position that we would expect her to serve the sentence agreed to. And that's all I have. Thank you for letting me talk.
We do appreciate your participation. Ms. Dickerson, is there something you'd like to say to us before we vote?
Yes. First, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to come before you. I've made many mistakes in my life, but there is no excuse for taking Brian's. I hold myself accountable for it all. Since the day it happened, I've been deeply remorseful, and I deserve to feel responsible for the rest of my life. I've asked myself, why should I be given another chance? I'm not the same person before I came. Rehabilitation became a priority. I cannot change the past. And I wish I could take it all back, but I can't. Saying I'm sorry won't take away the trauma and emotional pain I've caused. Willamette, Lonnie, Puppy, Summer, Jamie, and the rest of the family. But I'm beyond sorry.
She's finished.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think we are prepared to vote. Mr. Roche will be voting first.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ms. Dickerson, I have 2 daughters that are older than you. So I'm going to give you some pearls of wisdom before I vote. First of all, hold your head up. Hold your head up. You mean hanging your head to hold your head up. Second is this Jackson H2. How do you recognize a favorable or a good relationship? You forgot one word, respect. 2 individuals have to respect each other. Each relationship is going to be different opinions, different ways of doing things. You're gonna like different foods. Respect the individual that you're in a relationship with. Third, don't forget our conversation about drug addiction. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Based upon the positive remarks of Warden Thomas, based on an excellent disciplinary conduct with only 1 law class write-up in 15 and a half years, even though it was a late library book, a low risk assessment, a great transition plan with your system. My recommendation is that we commute your sentence to 24 years with no eligibility after serving 16 years. That is my recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Freeman.
I concur with Mr. Roche's recommendation.
Mrs. Jackson.
I'd like to thank the victim's family for being here and providing your input. And it certainly helps us to be balanced in our decision making. But looking at who Ms. Dickerson is today and the things that she has worked on to improve herself, My vote likewise is the same.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. I do agree. I really appreciate the warden's input. She said some really good things about you. It's obvious to me that I think you're ready. My vote is the same for all the same reasons. So we'll make that recommendation on your behalf.
Thank you.